In this video, me and my friend are going to attempt to survive 500 days of hardcore Minecraft. If you guys have seen the rest of this series, you'll know that we've come a long way and achieved so much. However, if either of us die, the series is over. Can we survive 500 days without dying? The goals of this video are to build a raid farm, upgrade our villager trading hall, and kill 5 wither bosses at once, which is 1 for every 100 days we've survived so far. Will we be able to complete these goals by the end of the video? Stay tuned to the very end to find out. Also, we did it, guys. We hit 50,000 subscribers. Let's go! Next up is 100,000. So if you guys could hit the subscribe button, it would mean the world to me. It's 100% free and you can always change your mind later. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like for the algorithm. And with all of that being said, let's get straight back to where we left off on day 401. Our adventure continues on day 401, where we loaded into the world and it was so good to be back. It honestly felt like we've been away from this world for a lifetime. Now that we were back where we left off, we flew around and we took in our surroundings. It was a nice little reminder of everything that we'd built and achieved so far. As our old house was a bit of a mess, we decided to head to the storage room and unloaded all of the junk that was scattered around. After organizing everything, on day 402, we realized that we never actually got round to making the storage system fully automatic. So it was about time we did that. The whole thing was pretty big, so we blocked off the hoppers on the third row and we closed the corridor off. After completing the storage room, we headed to the depths of the Nether. We went to revisit our wither skeleton farm, and when we arrived, we said hello to Yeet the piglin. We then figured out why our farm wasn't functional, and we found a better intersection to build at. We checked the surrounding area, made our mark, and then flew home to collect the materials we would need. On day 406, we returned with the materials, and then destroyed our old attempt of the wither skeleton farm. We then spent days 407 and 409 constructing the new farm. It was time to complete the farm, and to do so, we needed Yeet the piglin, so I travelled all the way back to him and I set him free. He was so happy to be released that he chased me all the way to the new farm. Jordan built a bridge, and with his help, we got him into position. We then AFK'd the farm for the rest of the day to see if it would actually work, unlike our other attempt. On day 411, we discovered that it was well and truly working like a dream. I killed the first few wither skeletons, we took turns killing some more, and ended up with 7 already in such a short space of time. Great success. We journeyed back home on day 412 and we put our wither skulls into a shulker box when we arrived. I then realized that we've made a lot of automatic farms in this series. There was one farm in particular that was still of manual use. This was our pumpkin and melon farms. If you watched last episode, you'll realize that I use these farms a lot. Making automatic ones would be a lot more useful and efficient, and could also result in a wealthy amount of emeralds when we trade with the villagers. So for the next few days, we got to work on the build of an automatic melon farm. Once it was complete on day 416, Jordan put a design around the farm so that it wasn't an eyesore. And this was the finished product. Day 417, we decided we'd had enough of having the villager trading hall underground near the old house. We wanted to create the new one nearer to the storage system. After making this decision, we spent the day searching for the right place to have it. Once we found a suitable area, we marked it with some blocks. We then took a trip to the Nether to get some quartz as we were low in supply. And on day 419, before dedicating ourselves to days on days of building, Jordan was itching to show off his creative side, and in turn, I assisted with his build of a mini yacht. The yacht build was complete on day 420, and Jordan decided to call it Big Chungus. After making this yacht, we had plans to build bigger and better ones in the future, so make sure you leave a like down below if you want to see that. On day 421, I mined up the Emerald Beacon and I placed it outside the area of our next project. I then selected Haste 2, which will give us the ability of faster mining. Then between days 422 and 423, we began and finished mining out the new villager trading hall. We then dug out the correct dimensions and the layout, and once complete, we needed materials for the design. So we put our axes to use on day 425 and spent the day chopping down trees. The design process was now in full swing. We changed the walls, changed the floors, changed the roof, and to top off the design, we wanted to put some fish in a tank in the floor and a chandelier hanging down from the ceiling. But before we did this, we needed the key component, the villagers. So towards the end of day 431, we dug through and we built a small villager breeding hall. It wasn't as nice as our old one, but we wouldn't need to use it as much. The villager breeding hall was now complete, and it was time to transport the villagers over from the old breeding hall to get started on breeding an empire. When we were traveling back from the new build on day 433, we saw some pillagers, which reminded us of our goal of creating a raid farm. We didn't engage in combat, and instead of delaying time, we built a railway all the way to the underground of our former breeding hall, all the way to the new one. I tested it out, and once we had fully built it, it was an epic fail. After a few adjustments, it was up and running. I even took a llama with me on the test run, and I had no idea how this even happened. On day 434, we moved the villagers one by one to the new prison, 5-star accommodation. And on day 435, I went swimming with some buckets and got us some fish to put inside of the tank. Whilst I did this, Jordan built us a beautiful chandelier. And we then did the evil deed of setting the zombies free onto our innocent villagers. Poor villagers. To change them back to normal though, we'd need a lot of golden apples. And although I already had some on me, I didn't want to use them all, or all of the gold we already had in the storage. Alternatively, I paid a visit to the gold farm we made I hadn't really used much. After AFKing the farm for a day, I made golden blocks and filled shulker boxes with rotten flesh. There were still lots from the last time we'd used the farm and just hadn't cleared yet. But once the trading hall was fully finished, we'd be able to trade all of the rotten flesh for emeralds. I arrived home on day 438 and I put everything that I collected into the storage room and crafted some more golden apples. Once I finished this, I brewed multiple weakness potions and I stored them away. On day 439, I got some sand whilst Jordan got some ice. We then spent the rest of the day gathering materials for our raid farm. Finding a pillager outpost near water was our next task, so starting on day 440, we travelled thousands of blocks over multiple days until we finally stumbled across one on day 443. We were relieved as we were very quickly running out of fireworks, and this was our only way of getting home. But on day 443 and 447, it was time to build the raid farm. The raid farm was complete, and now all we needed was a villager. On day 448, Jordan went on the hunt for a nearby village, where he ended up kidnapping, borrowing a villager, and he lured it over to the build. He then made a bridge for a railway, which would get the villager into position on top of the bed. On day 449, the villager was finally here, and we got it straight into position. We then broke down the area around the bed, and the railway also. Jordan sorted out the redstone, and I killed a pillager at night to get a bad omen. First raid began on the morning of day 450, and I stood there and killed the mobs as they spawned. We did encounter an issue with Vexes, but we managed to take them out together and repeated this process for 2 days. After slaying the mobs with my loot and 3 sword, this is the loot that we'd received. We were very happy with the amount of totems that we'd gotten, and we even got a solid amount of emeralds. We put them all into a shulker box and we filled our inventories, and then Jordan threw me some fireworks and we began our adventure home. We traveled thousands of blocks and eventually returned home with just 5 fireworks between us. We were welcomed home by skeleton horsemen, which we took out very easily. We then put away our totems of undying as well as our emeralds. When we were in the storage room on day 457, we noticed that the chicken farm near the storage room was super loud. So we took all the eggs out of the chests and politely disposed of the chickens using TNT. Days 458 to 459, we began moving the zombie villagers into their pods. We got them all into position on the bottom level and started the process of turning them into normal villagers. By the end of day 460, the zombie villagers have been reformed to their normal state. The next thing to do was to decide which villagers we wanted to transport from the old villager trading hall that had useful trades. Once we chose which ones we wanted, using the same railway system as before, we got the villagers into pods on the 2nd floor. By the time day 462 had come around, most of the trading hall was now full. The villagers just needed jobs and signs above them so we could identify the trades. Whilst I sorted this, Jordan removed the railway system as it was no longer needed. On day 463, I took down the emerald beacon we were using and I put it back next to the factory where it belonged. Whilst I replaced the beacon, Jordan designed the entrance to the brand new villager breeding hall. As the sun rose on day 464, the new and improved villager breeding hall was complete. Jordan had done an amazing job working on the entrance and we were very happy with what we created. We had some spare pods, but we could fill those at any time. Our next plan was a dangerous one, but it was definitely necessary. Jordan crafted us some TNT and we placed it inside of the mountain between our 2 houses. We set it off, take down a large chunk of the mountain, set the beacon to haste 2, and then spent the rest of day 464 and all of day 465 deleting the remains. By the end of day 465, we had finally done it. To stop hostile mobs from spawning, we ran around and placed down a lot of torches, probably more than we needed to. We were in the mood to do some more land modifications, and this was something Jordan wanted to do since like day 20 at the very beginning. Trust me, this was one of the first things he said when we built our house, and we finally got around to doing it. Days 466 to 467, we broke up the land between the small rivers and connected the river all around it. I started off day 468 making some purple glass before traveling to the nether to gather some materials. I very quickly came across a bastion remnant, which I approached with caution as I was alone. I took the loot and then I mined the blocks I needed for my new build. Gilded blackstone was the last block I needed, however I didn't have a silk touch pickaxe on me. So on day 469 I returned home to grab it and then made my way back and took what I needed without any interference from the piglins. Now I had all my materials, it was time to make a brand new and improved nether portal. Whilst I was building this, Jordan also built an amazing bridge that would lead straight to the front of our brand new modern home. We both hopped into the end on day 473 to repair our tools and armor, and we did this by killing Enderman for XP and letting our mending enchants do the work. We then flew home once we'd finished, and Jordan took down the Emerald Beacon. On day 474, I began digging a hole to go directly underground and mined out an area for the beacon. We placed it shortly after, and we got to work on mining out a huge area to see how many diamonds we could get. Cue the mining montage. Day 480 we returned to the Enderman farm to repair our tools before they broke, and on day 481 we were straight back to it. I bet you can't guess what happened on day 484. After finding a decent amount of diamonds, we decided to adopt the OG method that every Minecraft player knows. If we wanted to build a diamond beacon, we need all the diamonds we could get. And with time running out in this 100 days episode, we mined straight down to the perfect diamond layer and began strip mining. This was a lot more successful, and we ended up getting a lot more from this. These are the goods that we ripped from the mines, and I must say we did a damn good job. We already had diamonds from the large area that we dug out, and we even started ignoring other ores like iron, gold and redstone as they just weren't needed anymore. It also must be mentioned that Fortune 3 is a literal cheat code. And we started building the diamond beacon, but we didn't have quite enough diamonds to do so. On day 492, I checked how many skulls we had back at the original home before heading back into the Nether for what could possibly be the very last time. After traveling and finding the farm again, we spent what was left of day 492 and all of day 493 killing wither skeletons, their prized and valuable skulls, which we would be using to spawn in 5 wither bosses, a tall task for any Minecraft player to handle, especially in hardcore. On day 494, we were back home with 36 wither skulls. Considering it took us so long to get them in previous videos, this was incredible to us as it took us just over 1 day to get them. I also did something that I completely forgot to do in the last video, and that was give my dog a name. You guys left a lot of comments of names, so I picked one at random, and that was to call it Chaza Jr. Shout out to you for leaving this comment. If you want your comment to be featured in my next video, then all you gotta do is leave a comment. It could be literally anything, and I'll choose one at random to be in my next video. Get commenting. For the next 3 days, it was the calm before the storm. To fill in time before our biggest challenge yet, we did something that was very much needed and something I'm surprised we didn't do a lot sooner. We worked on some aesthetic pathways to give our home a more complete look. I think they turned out pretty good. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Preparation time was here, and so was day 498. It crept on us so quickly that we weren't even sure if we were ready. Potions were brewed, golden apples were collected, and we also topped up on totems of undying, just in case anything were to go pear-shaped. After a good night's rest, day 499 was here, and time really was ticking. It was time to get down to the mines and dig out far away from our home to spawn in the dreaded 5 wither bosses. I gave Jordan 2 skulls, and I took the other 3. We then spawned them in, and it was time to go to war. But before we do, this video took me over 40 hours to make, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like on the video as it really helps me out, and also subscribe if you're new. It's 100% free and you can always change your mind later. Enjoy the battle. We used our bows, we used our swords, we also used some eggs because why not, and I even tried using a diamond hoe at one point, but we won't talk about that as it probably would have taken another 100 days just to get it done. I lost a totem of undying along the way as I forgot to put on my chest plate instead of my elytra, but luckily I had some spares. Making that raid farm was definitely a clutch play as all of our hard work up until this point would have been gone forever. With some final blows to the last wither boss, we had done it. GG's wither bosses, thank you for the nether stars. We returned to our homeland feeling victorious like true heroes. We had survived 500 days of hardcore Minecraft together. To celebrate our victorious moment, we decided to put on a fancy firework display around some fitting scenery for you guys to enjoy. With 500 days completed, the road to 1000 days begins now. Thank you so much for watching, and again for 50,000 subscribers. If you do enjoy the video, then please be sure to subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Drop a like for the algorithm, and if we can get to 10,000 likes, I will start recording 1000 days. Oh, and one last thing. Join my Discord server. A link will be in the description below. We have a great community. You can interact with me, play fun mini games, and get all the news regarding my videos first. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description. Thank you all for watching. That was 500 days. I've been Chaza, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.